Okay, so Adam, thank you very much for joining us this morning and for agreeing to be a judge on Distanced Shakespeare. Wonderful to have you on board.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure, entirely.
Adam, so we thought because it's the first time we're doing this and even the participating teams don't really know what to expect, we thought we'll speak to the judges and ask you guys a couple of questions on what you're looking for in the competition and in your judging. So the first question is, for an individual performer, what are you looking for in their performance at Distanced Shakespeare, given the changes in format as well?
Okay. I think the expectations from the individual actor would not be very different from what one would expect on a live on-stage performance. And the fundamentals must be observed. So firstly, a proper understanding of the character that one is portraying. And that involves, understanding the character arc of the character, how it develops and evolves through the entire play. Because of course we are depicting only a segment of the play, but that segment must reflect that portion of the arc. And we ought to be able to understand from that performance what the prior and the post arc is likely to be. So the character of the individual and the way it develops through the play, the character of the individual vis-a-vis the other actors that he relates to and the other characters that he relates to, because that character also has dimensions, and it's important that those dimensions come out. That would be, I think, one of the key factors. The second very important factor, the individual perspective, would be the understanding of the text. Shakespeare is often performed without a proper understanding of what the words delivered really mean. And that's something that needs to be a sincere understanding. You can't fake it by just learning how to deliver or how to recite, if I might put it within inverted commas, how to recite the lines. It needs to be felt. The meaning needs to be clearly understood in the individual. It's only then that it can be translated and transported to us. So I think that's very important, and people need to take time to understand what the text means. Today, there is no excuse not to be able to understand it. There's a wealth of information at their fingertips. Whatever they want to find out about, understand, there are interpretations, a dime a dozen on the internet. There are books on the subject, and no excuse at all. I think those are the two paramount expectations from the individual. I think if those two are achieved, the acting would come naturally, and that is the third element. The third element would be the portrayal itself. These are people. These are stories about people, and people need to be portrayed as they would be once one has sunk into the character and immersed himself or herself in it. The portrayal needs to come through naturally and not forced. So those would be the three aspects that I would look at as key aspects.
Key aspects. Okay, Adam. So thank you very much on that. I think there's a lot for our contestants to work on and look at from that response. Our second question would be vis-a-vis the team. What would you look from a team taking part, or a group of actors who come together, albeit distanced, physically separated, and on screen, what would you expect from a team?
I think this would be the big challenge for the players, what the team can deliver, because unlike the on-stage live performance, they have to be able to deliver that energy and create that energy amongst themselves, even though they are not, performing on the same, in the same space. That will be, I think, the big challenge. Acting is about reacting and responding. it is about a group effort, and creating that group synergy, creating the interplay between the actors, which is so important, creating the excitement, the fun, and again, I'll use the word energy in that group would be the challenge, because they would obviously be performing in different spaces and only connecting via a medium like this, like Zoom.
Okay.
So maintaining that excitement,
Yeah, the excitement
that
and the
interplay
engagement,
would
I
be
guess.
critical. Engagement, perfect word to use. Engagement. Thank you, Jan. Also, that would involve, because you're going to be seeing these characters on screen together, there have to be some rehearsal as to direction at which they play, so that there is overall on one screen a sense of reality. Theater is an amazing tool, Jan, as you know. We can transport the viewer into any world that we want to. We can replicate cinema on stage, and for those moments, let the audience forget that they're actually watching a play and not a film.
Correct.
Similarly, I think we'll have to do the reverse now. We are in a way watching a film on screen, but they'll need to transport us to the dimension of a stage play.
Correct.
And so it would be the reverse of what we try to sometimes achieve. Sometimes we try to achieve the opposite in terms of dimension. Transporting. That's right. Transporting them to a cinematic dimension. Instead, we're transporting them from a cinematic dimension onto a real stage dimension. So creating that, sustaining that energy, sustaining that engagement will be a big ask from the teams, but I'm confident that they can achieve it.
Adam, just a add-on question based on your response. You said, I think the role of the team is to transport the judge, the viewer, back to the stage. What, if you could give our contestants just 1 or 2 points, what do you mean by transporting someone back to a stage frame in terms of the performance, in terms of the engagement? Because I want them to understand exactly what you guys are looking for.
Sure. So if I were to sort of illustrate, if we were seated at the Lionel Wendt, for instance, and watching a performance on stage, in the single frame, we see reality in the performance of the actors, in the way they engage with each other. We observe the reality in a single frame. Here, when we're watching it on a Zoom platform with individuals performing in their own spaces, there is necessarily on your screen a break of the a separation, at least in the form of boxes, etc., and of course a separation in the form of sometimes background, sometimes just space, separation in terms of space. For instance, sometimes in a movie you would see the screen, the movie is shot and the director depicts a scene where he splits the screen into two and has two characters doing things or in a conversation at the same time, and that there is a split there.
Right.
That it's two different things happening in two different spaces.
Right.
That we need to camouflage as much as possible. If the interaction is intense, is intimate, then the separations that we see on our screen would disappear, and we, the audience, would see it just as one picture, just as much as we would see it on a live stage.
Right. Okay. I think that
so you need to blur. So you need to blur those
boxes,
those elements of space, those boxes, by your performance. By your performance.
I think that's very handy.
And of course, you can have tools to add to it. Yeah, you can have tools to add to that to assist you, such as, for instance, playing with a similar background. So if you and I were in a dialogue and we both were standing next to a wall which was of the same color, then it will be easier for the audience watching to be transported to the idea that they're watching two people in the same place.
Correct. But Adam, because we did a little bit of a demo tape, how hard it is to find two walls that look the same in households today.
I can imagine. I can imagine. So that's why I said this will be the real challenge. I'm just talking about tools.
True.
These are tools that can assist, but they're not necessarily tools that which will destroy if the performance is strong enough. And they can get us to focus on the actor
and not the background. Yeah, that's true.
The spaces.
No, I was actually making a bit of a joke because that's something that we grappled with. Okay, so Adam, final question to you. So final question. You've been in competitions, you've acted, you've judged, you've taken film into competitions. What would your advice be to the teams and the individuals taking part in terms of the competition element of it?
Well, when I started off direction straight after school, this competition has always had that passion and intensity of a competitive spirit. And I used to be also, looking back, I realized that I was, in the initial years, a little over-concerned with the competitive aspect. And as the years have passed, I found that coming out of that and just looking at creating some magic, some moments of magic that we are happy with, something that excites us in the way we perform, innovating, looking at how we can tell this story in a different way, in an exciting way for us as players. That is all that we should focus on. And if we focus on that, I think the product that we deliver will be great. And, people will win, people will lose. We just need to keep the idea of the competition, the idea of the win out of our minds and look at delivering this story in the best possible way. Yeah. And then look at having a great time doing that. I think then we can establish super quality. If everyone does that, we'll have a really high standard. And of course, somebody in that standard is going to be picked as a winner. But I think it's important for the teams to also understand picking a winner in this is somewhat subjective. My scoring is based to some extent as to what I like. And although one strives to be objective, there is always an element of subjectiveness. So the idea should be that, look, ultimately it is three individuals who will make the call. And their call need not necessarily be the call of everyone. And so as long as each team enjoys what they present and presents the story in a fun, novel way, I think that's what we should look for.
Okay. All right, Adam. Thank you very much. So we will share your video with the teams within the week. And as I mentioned to you, some of the teams have asked us whether we could push the competition back by a week because they want to, avoid the changeover in terms of data availability. And I think that's a practical consideration. So we'll speak to the teams over the weekend and Monday and get back to the judges by Tuesday.
So I'd like to say that, I'm totally excited about this. I think you and Nidra and your theatre group are doing a fabulous job in bringing this concept to us. I'm really excited because some of me, part of me doesn't know what to expect from this whole thing, and I'm sure the experience will be something that I'll remember and treasure. I want to wish the teams all the best. It is a big task.
Yes.
I would have been, terribly nervous trying to put something like this together. I'm sure we'll have an exciting couple of days judging this.
Thank you, Adam. And I think your support and the comments you gave us, I think will help all of the teams immensely in their preparation. So thank you very much. And we'll catch up with you soon. Okay.
You're
Bye for
welcome.
now, Adam.
Thanks. See you later.
Yes. Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.